You shouldn't miss. You're 12 yards away. You should not miss. I've seen, well, we saw Willian, he missed the target. That is pressure.
So when you're a keeper at the start, are you, like those two lads yesterday, would they have been sitting there saying, well, no pressure on me?
Those are two experienced goalkeepers, so yes, absolutely, they would have been thinking that way.
How do you prepare for a penalty shooter, and has your preparation changed over the years?
Yeah, of course. I mean, now the technology's come into it, so normally you'll have an iPad or something of that nature on the bench, and you'll try to get all the data that you can possibly get. Now, in a shootout, sometimes you're not going to see anything from maybe the 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 of the penalty takers, but you'll try to get as much data as possible.
But does the data override your instinct then, or do you still trust your gut?
No, for me, no. But again, if I was younger, yeah, probably. But as I've gotten older, there's little things that you try to detect. I mean, the best one for me was always to try to detect the planting foot. Now, it's more difficult at my age and as I've gotten older because you're a little bit slower on the feet, and you have to, if you're waiting till that last second before you move, you have to be really quick, really powerful, really strong, and in order to do that. But generally, where the planting foot is facing is where the ball's going to be. Now, it's not 100%. It's not a science. It is just that. It's instinct. There's other things that you can detect. How long's the run-up? How short's the run-up? The angle of the run-up? How big is the occasion? My instinct is that the bigger the game, if it's a right-footed player and I saw a little fear in their eyes, I would think they would hit it to my left because it's easier to get it on target that way. Left-footers, for some reason, the bigger the occasion.
Well, when does second-guessing come into play then, though?
Well, second-guessing comes into play when you've played with a player, I think, or against a player and taken penalties against his player numerous times. Danny Murphy springs to mind with me. I played with him at Liverpool. He had got a penalty when he was at Fulham, I believe, and he knew that I knew that he wanted to go which way, right, yeah. And he knew that, so he would think that I know he's going to go right, so he's going to go left, and it was just a thinking game going back and forth. And then he came out on top that one, to be fair. But that's when it becomes one of those games. In a shootout, I've also seen goalkeepers try to dive the same way 5 times in a row, thinking that at least one will go that way. I've never done that. I've always tried to take it on.
So the standing foot at the point of contact is the best indicator?
For myself it was, and that's not everyone. I mean, if you see somebody lining up with a real long run-up, I mean, generally he's going to smash it, and generally it's going to go somewhere in the center of the goals, unless you saw the lad up there that just smashed it into the upper bin with very little run-up. You know, again, we're at a disadvantage. If you guys hit it about a yard close to the post with pace, even if we leave early, it's difficult for us
Richie,
to save.
did you take penalties?
I was involved in a couple of penalty shootouts twice, and I scored my penalty in both times. But one, I began my run-up, and the referee blew the whistle, stopped me, because the fans behind the goal threw, I think it was a battery and a cigarette lighter at me. So he said, stop and start again.
Your home fans?
No, it's the opponent's fans. They have on other occasions done that.
When he played with Millwall.
I know that. We were talking earlier.
We almost played against each other, but I was injured today, surprisingly. But yeah, I had to stop my run-up and start again, and I remember going, like, it threw me completely. And I was right, I have to get back on song here and focus again. But it is difficult because the walk from the halfway line up, like, you might only be 20 or 30 seconds, but so much is going on in your head at the time.
So do you still think it's I mean, it's great television, you have to say, but is it the right way to finish
of course it is.
A tournament or golden goal?
If you give two teams an hour and a half to outscore each other and they don't, you give them another half hour and they don't, what's the other option?
But can you not see with 20 minutes to go, though, yesterday, teams are already beginning, this is before the extra time, but we're probably already getting into the mindset of penalties.
Yeah, I think it was even
the fear,
especially in extra time, because the goalkeepers, both of them stopped playing out of the back completely. Neither of them wanted to make a mistake. I think that came into play with how well Chile was pressing as well, and how well Brazil was pressing against Chile, so they didn't want to make mistakes. But it almost, with about 5 minutes into the first extra time, it seemed like both teams were happy to go to penalties.
What?